So this is weird. It's like dark.
Yes.
Wait, I need to turn my lights off. Pondering Psalms after dark.
After dark.
I've worn a shirt 3 times this week.
It's a winner.
Well, but I wear it only for short periods of time when I'm doing. So if you watch
the chair and just laugh. You guys are so funny.
Yeah.
Be like, get off the stage.
Welcome to Pondering Psalms. We are looking at Psalm 86 today, and I'm here with my good friend
Curt Austin.
And I'm David Mullins.
There he is.
There it is. There it is. So,
right.
And we're doing this a little late tonight. Actually, we're doing it very late for us. It's about an hour past Curt's bedtime. So he is actually wearing his pajamas now. So, no, you look good. You always look
Thanks.
good. I had to change shirts.
I had to change shirts. Oh, you did have to change.
I
That's
did.
good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, this was happening. So
that's a sharp outfit.
Well, thank you. Psalm 86. It says it's a Psalm of David. So reflective of this. Basically, it uses a lot of phrases and thoughts from other Psalms. So it's almost like an anthology of David. But I think it has a really powerful message. What did you think, Curt?
I really liked it. And I went into this with the idea that it was a prayer. It wasn't a lament. It wasn't, it was more of just, reminding the writer and the reader that this is a communication with God. It reminds each of us of our relationship with God in the prayer. Kind of gives us some instruction in that as well, which I really liked. I have some notes. It's interesting that we've talked about this a lot, but in this particular...
Wait. You have notes? No one said anything that we're supposed to have notes.
No, from 3 years ago. Verses 14 and 15 really touched my heart 3 years ago. And this is what we've talked about, is that as you read this over time, something may change. And this time, those things didn't resonate with me in the same way.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they were still good stuff. I mean, whoever wrote this did a good job. But certainly...
Sure he's glad to get your approval.
There was just a different take on it this time. And I think, honestly, part of it is the conversation we've been having over the last few weeks. That's kind of primed me to look at it slightly differently, which was cool. I like that.
Yeah, and it's a reason why. What do they say? If a book is worth reading once, it's worth reading more than once. And I think we get in that mode that, I'm done with that, and so I've already looked at that. But especially Scripture, it's not like that. At least not our engagement with it isn't like that.
I've started doing the book of Matthew the same way. I'm reading the same chapter every day for a week because of the same reason. Yeah. What is it that I'm picking up, or what is it that spoke to me yesterday, and how do I need to study that more? What is it that I really need to dive into that and see how that is? Why did that speak to me yesterday, and how is God using that in my day to day? And even this morning, I woke up and I was praying a part of Matthew that I had read yesterday. It started to speak to me. So I think there's a real benefit to this repetition and the familiarity that you can develop by reading it on a regular basis like this.
Yeah, so, and I think so too. Why don't we go ahead and jump in?
Let's do it. I don't think we need to read the whole thing today. It's a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's true.
But why don't you really have liked this, right? You think this is a great psalm?
Yeah.
Is it just because it's an anthology? It kind of pulls everything together. What was it about it?
I think how I really look at kind of how the psalmist structures things, and the whole first part is really asking God to hear his prayers and giving him reasons on why he should hear his prayers. Bend down, answer me because I need your help. Protect me, for I'm devoted to you. Save me, for I serve you and trust you. You are my God. And so he's setting up this relationship. I am your servant. You are my Lord. You are my God. And my role is to serve you. Your role is to watch over and protect me.
Yeah, the very first of that. In my version, I read it in ESV as well as what do you have, NLT?
Yeah, New Living Translation.
New Living Translation. I really liked that imagery of bending down. Oh
Yeah.
Lord, I don't know about you, but there was something precious when we would put our kids to bed when they were little, and you would bend down,
Yeah.
and or they would whisper to you in the night, or if you were saying your prayers with the kids and you were bending down, and that was the image I had of this: bend down, O Lord, and hear my prayer. I really like that.
I hadn't thought about this, but when you're talking about kids, one of the things I've learned is that when you're going to really talk with kids, especially if it's an important talk, you bend down to get face to face on eye level with them, because when you stand over them, that is a completely different dynamic than when you come down. And so that's a good word for us, Curt.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
I also liked in this first verse, it kind of shows we've talked about this before. Poor and needy is what mine says. I am poor and needy. In NLT is I need your help. That poor and needy is not just a amount of dollars you have in your pocket.
Right.
It is a statement that I am God. I am dependent on you. I need you. I can't do this on my own strength and on my own power. And what a way to kick off the psalm.
Yeah.
Bend down and listen to this, God. I need you,
And I'm going to jump down to verse 7, because you kind of see that same dynamic through the first part of this, but I kind of chuckle when I read verse 7, because it says, I will call to you whenever I'm in trouble, and you will answer me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, my role is to call whenever I'm in trouble. Your role is to answer me.
Well, and let's go back up to verse 2, right? I mean, preserve my life, for I'm godly. Save your servant who trusts in you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, so you have dependence and you have trust, and that's the relationship. I'm dependent on you, but I also trust in you because I know and to take it back to the child, right? A kid who is, I watched this video of this little girl who put her hands on her mother's face and just said, I love you, Mommy. And oh my gosh. And it's just beautiful, this tenderness, but pulling Mommy close, and I felt like these two verses, 1 and 2, encapsulated that. But like you said, there's kind of this repetition through the psalm of these images, and if not the image, then certainly the idea that's trying to be portrayed here.
Verse 4 in the same line, give me happiness, O Lord, for I give myself to you. I'm not really trying to make light of this. It's just the fact that we are dependent, and the psalmist recognizes that. Sometimes we don't.
Yes.
We think we are the master. We think we're in charge. Think we're the ones calling the shots. And this psalmist knows exactly who God is and who he is, and what he needs from God. Listen closely to my prayer. We'll find out in a little bit why he's praying this prayer. He doesn't really give us insight here, but I think later we get a little bit of insight into maybe what might be going on.
Well, don't leave us hanging. What is it?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to it.
It's reminiscent, this relationship. And like you said, a lot of times we don't remember that. We don't fall into that. It's like the church sign I said. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but the church sign, I saw it. I was driving past it, and I was just baffled by it. It said, when all else fails, try God. I was like, why do you have to wait that long? Why do you have to wait till all else fails? Why isn't that kind of backwards and from what this psalm is saying, right? That's our starting point.
Yeah. If I could change that church sign, I would change it to, you've tried everything else. You've already tried everything else.
Yeah,
Maybe
'cause
it's time to try prayer.
because that is our is it modus operandi? I mean, that's the way. That's our MO. We try everything else. We bargain, we manipulate,
Yeah.
we push through, we take advantage of situations to take it to our direction. And in truth, we're still poor and needy, no matter how hard we work at it. We're
Yeah.
still in need of your help.
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. And then from here, there's kind of another stage where he's basically lifting God up, saying, this is who you are. No pagan god is like you. No, none can do what you do. All the nations you made will come down before you and bow down before you, because at some point there's going to be a reckoning and an understanding of who God truly is. And this psalmist is basically saying, I know who you are now.
Yeah.
I already know that.
Isn't that great? I mean, all of these Psalms that we've read have this type of element to it, that we're able to, there's this reminder. And again, we've talked about this, that maybe it's reminding God, this is your responsibility, or this is how great you are. But the larger part of it is it's reminding the writer, it's reminding the reader, oh yeah, God is that great. And this is the world in which I live, that God rules. And
I just had a thought, and again, this might not pertain whatsoever, but in some ways, it's almost like he's letting God know, God, I know that I need you. And sometimes we might not know that. As a person, we might not know. Like, okay, let's take us for an example. If there's something and I'm kind of ignoring you or whatever, and you say, Dave, I really need you. I really need you in this relationship. I really need you because of this, and the other thing. That would really affect me. And so bringing it down to our level, he's basically saying to God, I really need you. I need you to come through for me. I'm not aloof. I'm not like these pagan nations. I know I need you. And I think God does respond. He responds to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I know when my kids tell me how great I am, I love it.
Well,
they don't watch this, so I don't have to worry. I'm not like priming the pump or anything, but I'm just saying.
Well, they tell you that all the time. Don't you get tired of it? Don't you get tired of it? Okay,
let's move on. Verse 11.
I love this verse. This is the one I keyed on.
This is the third verse that I really, 1 and 2, and then came down on 11. So why was it for you? What was about that?
I think it's because I do coaching, and one of the most difficult questions to ask for people to answer is the question, what do you want? Because usually we think we know what we want. But when we really pause to think about it, it's like, no, that's not really what I want. And, you can keep spiraling down. And, when I read verse 11, it's like, what? I really do think that's what I truly want. Now, there might be some other wants and desires that kind of distract me from this. But I think if I get down to the core of where I am, at least right now, this is the verse that describes what I want. Teach me your ways, O Lord, that I might live according to your truth. Grant me purity of heart so that I may honor you. And one of my prayers of the past couple of years, my prayer has changed. And now my prayer really all the time, even when I eat, my meals, Lord, help me to honor you in my life, in my work and the way I live. Help me to honor you. And that's really different than how I used to pray. And so I came on this as like, oh yes. And that purity of heart, why do you want a pure heart? So that I might honor God. Why do you want to live according to God's truth? So you might honor God. Why do you want God to teach him your ways? So I might honor him, rather than making my life easy or making it a blessing or whatever. It's so that we might honor him. And so that's really why I keyed into that verse.
Love it. Tell me if you would tell me. You had said that your prayer has changed. What
Yeah.
what would it have been before the
Oh,
last couple of years,
give me a lot of money.
or whatever, right? I
Yeah,
mean, or
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you have things, and it's kind of, oh Lord, I want this to happen, I want that to happen,
Okay,
uh, and it really depends on the time and the era. I mean, maybe even praying for my family.
sure.
But this honoring God, I think, encompasses all of that. Uh, and another thing was, I'll pray. Well, at the end of last show, I said, blessings, and I'll pray. I say that God's taking us to places of blessings
Sure,
and stuff
sure.
like that. But the question isn't, what does it mean to live a blessed life? The question is more, what does it mean to live a blessable life? How can I live in such a way that God can bless my life? And I think that's part of, living an honorable a life that honors God. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's late. It's late, and I keep
I'm sorry.
dozing off.
Yeah, I was going to say
Every
I
time you
missed
start
half of it.
talking,
But
I start dozing off. So as long as I can keep talking, I'm
if
okay.
I had $1 for every time somebody told me that, I wouldn't have to say this prayer. I'd be rich already. See,
Yeah.
so teach me your way, O Lord. Now mine says, teach me your way, O Lord. Again, the English Standard Version. It's not my version. It's the English Standard Version. That I may walk in your truth. Unite my heart to fear your name, is how the ESV says it.
Okay.
Unite my heart. And I this is why I keyed on this verse, is because I am, is it Paul that uses the phrase, we're double-minded? I think often my heart is going in 8 different directions.
Yeah.
And so for me, and I've got this underlined and have the word commitment written next to that my whole commitment of my life would be to fear. Now, I do like honor you better in the NLT, but the fear your name. But we talked about fear last week and what that means. And again, in awe of God and honoring
Yeah.
that. And so that uniting of my heart, so it's drawn together for that one purpose. It sounds like for the last couple of years, you've already been at that place where this is your sole goal in your life. And I guess I'm not there yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to get to that place.
Well, I would say this: just because it's your desire and what you want, it doesn't mean that your life always looks like that or reflects that.
Oh,
So,
certainly.
that's, it's the good times. Really, it's my prayer every time, but sometimes I pray it because I'm not living that life that is honoring God, and I'm not following His ways, and I know it.
So this is a little different than what we've done in the past. But
Uh-oh.
we were reading last night in our small group the passage from 2 Corinthians chapter 3, and this wasn't really the point of what we were reading, but as I read it, my gosh, it just jumped off the page. And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image of God, the same image of the Spirit, from one degree of glory to another.
Yeah.
Right. And that that jumped off the page at me last night. And this, I think, verse 11 then feeds into that we are not going to get there. You've been praying this for 2 years because this is a desire of your heart that you would be able to unite and be focused on God. And I'm just starting to come to that, but I realize you don't get to that place overnight.
Right.
It's by degree and
Yeah.
degree. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back in how it is that you're responding to God in your life and what that looks like. And there's no shame in that.
And I'll bring this up. If it's a little earlier, I would probably get this a lot more correctly. I don't know what I'm saying, but First John, I think it's around chapter 3, maybe verse 3, maybe verse 15 of chapter 3, said, we will become like him when we see him as he is. And I
Yeah.
think it's talking about when Jesus is finally revealed. And then he adds, those who have this hope purify themselves as he is
As
pure.
Christ is pure.
Yeah. And so I see a connection between this purity of heart, this wanting to honor God, and that whole thought that one day he will appear and we will see him as he is,
Yeah.
and we will be like him because the veil will be dropped. And that is why we purify ourselves. It's not to get rewards, it's not to get in good with God. It's because we know that one day we will be like him. And so that is quite the vision. And maybe we're skewing off of the
I don't know.
psalm.
So suddenly I have the image of what's the gentleman that's in the temple waiting for the Messiah to come.
Simeon.
Simeon.
Yeah.
And he is looking intently
Yeah.
for that revelation. And it's when it finally arrives, he wouldn't have noticed it any more than anybody else would have noticed it. Think about the number of people that were in the temple that day.
Yeah.
And another baby at 8 days gets baptized or gets named in the ceremony that's there. And nobody else saw it, but
Yeah.
he was looking for it. And
He was.
and because his heart was united for that one vision, that one purpose, it became real to him. His eyes were open. He saw the veil was dropped, and he saw it. I just think if our lives were devoted to that, to seeing the glory of God lived out in our neighbors' lives, presented to others in a way that shows them the love of Jesus. Boy, if we lived lives like that day in and day out, what that would do, especially in a world that's as broken as ours is.
Yeah.
What would that do? I mean, it doesn't mean that we have to be happy all the time, right? Is because life can be really kind of tricky.
Yeah.
But it certainly means that our faith resides in something bigger than ourselves. We go back. I am poor and needy, but I trust in you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll go down to verse 13. You have rescued me from the depths of death, and your translation probably says something like Sheol or
Yeah, it
Sheol or
does.
something like that, which wasn't, sometimes translations say the grave. It was this place of forgetfulness, which I find very interesting, and I'm not clear on whether it's the place where you're forgotten of God or where you've forgotten God. But translators really aren't sure exactly how to translate it because it's more of a worldview than an actual, like what we would think death. But I find it interesting that it has something to do with either being forgotten or forgetting.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to just randomly bring that up because it has nothing to do with what we've been talking about. But
No,
I think it's a good place for study. Yeah.
Beginning in verse
Yeah.
13, there's a shift in this.
Yeah. And this,
passage.
yeah. And this is what I was saying. We get a sense of why he's praying this prayer. Insolent people rising up against me, that God means nothing to them.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that he is being beset by these insolent people rising up against him, a violent gang. But then he recognizes that God is compassionate and mercy, slow to get angry, and filled with unfailing love and faithfulness. It's like, okay, is that for him or is that for this gang of people?
I would think it's for the gang, right? I mean,
Well, but then he says, "Look down and have mercy on me." I mean, I think it could go either way.
he's conflicted.
Yeah, well, yeah. But again, he's looking for mercy. He's looking for strength. He's looking to be saved, rescued. Send me a sign of your favor than those who hate me. And apparently the sign should be something that the others see and recognize.
Right.
Then those who hate me will be put to shame. For you, O Lord, help and comfort me.
And again, almost every bit of this is written in some other psalm. They've pulled them all out. So it would, it won't be surprising if you see verse 15 in another psalm, which you're just going to see it
Which you
because
do, yeah,
you
yeah.
do, and that's those are the kind of things. So if you're kind of pulling from all of these different places, then it's more difficult to say, well, this is what he was trying to say, because he's bringing all of that together. Hey, we
Yeah.
are just about out of time. What's a
Well,
great word of wisdom that you want to share with us?
all I know is my computer. It's so late. My computer's gone into nightlight mode, so all the colors are off. I mean, it's this weird. And I can, if people don't believe that it's nighttime,
Yeah, it's dark.
there we go.
Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah, it is. Yes. So I don't know. The word of wisdom is, what do you want? I guess it's
Ooh.
more of a question of wisdom. What do you want? What do you really want? Possessions, power, pleasure only gets you so far. What is it that you're really wanting? I think the psalmist really points to that,
Man,
at least
that's
for
great.
me.
What a kind of a knocking on your heart. What's the quality of the wood there? You can thump on a melon, but you can also get the same thing by kind of knocking on some a post, and you can kind of feel that. How solid is it? And what a great question. What does he really want? What is it that's really down in there? How solid is that desire? I love it. I love it.
Well, next week, I think
Yeah.
we have another psalm, right? We're not done with them yet, are we?
No, we've got a few more to go, but it's only 7 verses. Is another song of the sons of Korah, and so which should go quickly. It's called "Glorious Things of You Are Spoken." So if you can put that to a tune and a little rhythm, then we'll invite you on and let you sing it for us. It sounds
We won't
like
know until after we do this.
Well, that's true. That's
So,
true.
yeah.
Well, all right. Well,
Yeah.
never mind then.
So,
But we can always add it later, Dave. We can.
I guess
if
we could,
get
yeah.
if we get one of our fans,
Yeah.
that sends us a song, we'll put it up.
No, it's if we get our fan to send us a song.
All right. So, folks, thank you so much for being with us again.
Yes.
I'm really appreciative of this psalm and the
Oh, yeah,
insights
very
that
much so.
that it offers. And I hope that it's helped you. Continue to follow us on YouTube. If you would, just, like us, follow us. You get a little notice every once in a while when we post something. And this will be up for you to look at, and then let us know what you think.
It's been going up on YouTube Sundays at 12:15.
Yeah, it's automatically set, so it just triggers and
Yeah.
goes up.
Yeah, unless something horribly goes wrong.
Yeah. And what we've, well, we don't need to talk about this. Well, yeah. So Facebook, it kind of screens some things. It only goes to so many people. So what we found is we have
We've been censored.
250 people are actually following us on Facebook for Pondering Psalms, but it's only going to maybe 20,
Yeah.
30.
But if you subscribe on YouTube and say you want notified, it will let you know every single time.
Yeah.
Because that's how YouTube rolls.
Go right there. You can follow right there.
When you tell YouTube you want notified of something, it will do it. Facebook, Facebook will think about it.
Not so much. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Have a great what's left of this night and what's left of your week.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week at this time, talking about Psalm 87.
Yes. I will share that story at your funeral.
No, there are better stories. Like
Well,
when
I mean,
when I threw the hat at the speeding car in our neighborhood, and ran over it and crushed it. And he said, "So did that accomplish what you'd hoped? Did that get you what you were looking for?"
So this wasn't why you were a kid. This is when you were adult and married.
This was April.
I'm thinking you tell me a story from like high school.
No, I've got plenty of those too. But I'm just saying, I got plenty going on in my life right now.
What they must say about you in your neighborhood. You know that guy that like throws his hat at the cars?
We were talking to Jen, and Anita was there. And
did you think it would hurt the car?
I was hoping it would get their attention and they'd slow down. This other truck was driving through really fast, and I just stepped out in the street. And we were all talking together, and they were like, "What?" And the car came to a stop.
Yeah.
And Anita's like, don't do that. You've got to stop doing that. And Jen was like, does he do this often? She went, yeah, he does it all the time. It's like, well, if they can't slow down, then they're going too fast. I just don't have the luxury.
Right there on the tombstone.
Yeah. If they can't slow down, they're going
slow down. You're going too fast. Kurt Austin.